Big D Entertainment, in association with Dipsy Doodle Productions, presents The Dave Holly Hour. Brought to you by TJS Ceramic Studio, Serendipity Studio Gallery and Gifts, Chasers Food and Spirits, Excel Chiropractic, Quality Nails, Jesse Moffitt Entertainment, and the Sioux Falls Arts Council. The Dave Holly Hour features Sioux Empire arts and entertainment conversations. A true lover of arts, entertainment, good food, and fun times, including an occasional Jack Daniels. Okay, so a few Jack Daniels. Here he is, Dave Holly.
Hello once again, arts lovers. So great to have you all along for today's show, where this week we talk with Dr. Sax, Brian Hanegan, about the local jazz scene. Then Jodi Schwan of Sioux Falls Business and Pigeon 605 gives us details about this weekend's 605 Made Markeet and the entertainment that'll be part of that as well. But first, let's pop the cork on this bubbly little show. Time to grab your favorite beverage, lift it high, and toast it to being Thursday, a.k.a. Weekend Eve.
Hey, the weekend isn't around the corner, it's here!
So long, hump day and your frumpy way. We say hello to Thursdays with opening nights. The weekend is near and we can see the bright lights. Yes, Thursday, you're so hearty, we can't wait for Friday, so a day early, we start the party. Whatever you're drinking and whatever you're drinking it out of, very well could be determined by where and when you're listening. My choice, a Jasper Newton. That's Jack Daniel's Diet Coke with a lime. For you, be it a cup of coffee, a spot of tea, glass of milk, bottle of water, mug of beer, a cocktail, a glass of wine, or a flute of champagne, lift it high and toast to music, especially live music. I love the thrill of hearing both new material as well as covers and how they come to life on stage versus a recording. You don't agree with me? I still think you should probably consider finding some way to take in some of the live music in the Sioux Empire this coming weekend and all time. So cheers to you, live music. Speaking of cheers, which just happens to rhyme with beers, say cheers with a beer or your favorite cocktail at Chasers, West 12th Street and Ellis Road. Make sure you grab some food while you're there. And then, maybe a good beverage or two like we mentioned. But join us Monday nights at 7 for Dave Holly Hour Trivia at Chasers. The theme this coming Monday, August 26th, well, that's the last Monday of the month, so that means it's Wild Card Trivia, where everyone could win a prize. Honorable mention. One over the past week made Dave laugh, guffaw, chuckle, chortle, giggle, simply smile, or maybe even shed a tear of joy, getting reacquainted with relatives. I saw a couple of cousins I hadn't seen in almost 20 years. It brought plenty of smiles, a few laughs, and some tears of joy after saying goodbye. All right, later in the show, we talk with Jodi Schwan of Sioux Falls Business. Coming up in just a few minutes, Dr. Sax, Brian Hanegan, on the Dave Holly Hour. Serendipity Studio and Gift Gallery in the Shriver Building features local and regional artists in a variety of mediums. They'd like to feature your artistic creations as well. To learn more about their call for artists, visit their website, serendipitystudiosd.com. Again, that is serendipitystudiosd.com. You don't know how to spell serendipity? SERENDIPITY. There you go. You're also going to find a full list of upcoming events on that site. Serendipity Studio, located downtown Sioux Falls in the historic Shriver Building at 230 South Phillips Avenue on the second floor.
Are you an artist? Need some funding to further your art? There's a great opportunity for you through a Sioux Falls Arts Council program. The Artist Microgrant program gives away several microgrants to local artists, no matter what art discipline you're in. Unlike more traditional grants, a microgrant is very easy to apply for. Go to artssiouxfalls.org. If you haven't done so yet, create a listing on the Artist Directory, which is beneficial in its own way. Then go to the Artist Microgrants page and apply online. The process is simple. Find out more about the Sioux Falls Arts Council as well online at artssiouxfalls.org.
Check out the new ceramic studio in Sioux Falls, conveniently located off Kiwanis Avenue on 5th Street. TJS Ceramics inside Oscar's Mini Storage. Bisque, studio time, painting parties, and finished items are available. Visit TJS Ceramic Studio in Sioux Falls today.
He's jazzed to the eyeballs. Once again, here's Dave Hawley. Crikey, mate.
Welcome back, everybody. It is such a pleasure to talk Sioux Empire Arts and Entertainment, and it is always a pleasure to talk to this man. You can call him Dr. Sax. At least that's how he was introduced this past weekend at Trio Jazz Club. And his name is Brian Hanegan, and he has a lot of stuff going on. How are you?
Dude, what is up? This is my first time for all the listeners in the Dipsy Doodle production studio.
Yeah.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
It's great to see you.
Likewise.
Yeah.
And, I was going to plan on having you again sometime, regardless. You've been on a couple of times before. And then we were at Trio on, was that Friday night or Saturday?
Yeah, you guys came on Friday.
Yeah, we were on there on Friday night. And it was your first time at Trio. They haven't been open that long.
Yep.
But still, I know that Ricardo was a big fan of yours and wanted to get you in. And, because he's a huge fan of your song, Constellation.
He is. And, well, that entire family's been so good to the community of Sioux Falls and to the arts community. It's unbelievable. And that space is a testament sort of their work. And their appreciation for the arts, giving musicians that type of space to create art in is quite profound. And so we're very thankful around these parts for Ricardo and team.
Yeah.
But just real quickly, going back to the Dr. Sax thing, the backstory on that is, I don't know, a few years ago, 5-ish probably years ago, maybe a little more, I had this like kind of funny idea to get a personalized license plate that said Dr. Sax. And my wife thought I was kind of nuts, and perhaps she's right. But I went with it, and it was available, and so I got the plate, and then so like kind of that caught on, and then it's sort of that's where the nickname also came from, was here comes Dr. Sax, So it's kind of funny. It's very much tongue in cheek, and I'm the blunt of quite a few jokes around town, which I'm okay with.
Yeah, I'm trying to come up with one about, I have a very similar one. It's just a vowel off.
Yeah. Send it.
All right, you are a saxophonist extraordinaire. You had your quintet there on Friday night, and you played your iwi and everything, and you finished up with Ricardo's favorite.
Yeah.
And it has become one of my favorites of yours, too. I remember when you first came out with it. We had talked on this show at that time. And so I downloaded it and listened to it. And it's like, man, that's a great, great song. But there is one thing about when you get to live music. It's not going to be exactly the way it was on the album. But
that's right.
It's going to cook. I'm going to throw out a stupid little reference, but Constellation was over the moon. That was one of the absolute best songs I've ever heard. And it looked like you were exhausted after it.
Well, first off, thank you very much. That's very nice of you to say. The uniqueness about the charts that I write is essentially I try to have more singable melodies, and then the chord changes come within whatever singable melody that I'm creating. But really, the tunes come alive with the guys in the band.
Mm-hmm.
Without them, the tunes could sound less energetic, less exciting. But the freedom of space within each chart for people, the guys in the band, to create their art and to put their own spin or voice into it is very much part of the writing process. And so on in particular last Friday night, you know, that tune, every time we do it, and along with all of the originals that we performed, are always going to be just a hair different every time we do them, and by design. And the Constellation one, I've been recently starting to add like a little like opening cadenza to it before I bring the band in and things like that. And yeah, once things get going, the guys in the group are very much listening to what you're doing and trying to interact with you and create a collaboration in real time. And so sometimes we'll, you know, stretch and take multiple choruses, as you heard. And that's when, you know, the energy can really amp up and or like tension resolution moments. To have some type of musical experience with the audience is very important to us. And so I did run out of breath by that one. I was gassed at the end of it. I was gassed. I was winded for sure.
You know, you mentioned something just a moment ago about you take that into consideration when you're writing. The fact that, and I'm guessing it's not like that for many other genres other than jazz, is to be thinking of the fact that, well, here's a spot where maybe somebody will just go with a great riff, or they'll have a melody that comes in.
Yep.
Yeah, that's different for somebody writing jazz then, isn't it?
Totally. You know, I'm in a number of different groups around town, and, you know, some of the songs, you know, the performance practice is sort of like a 3.5 minute cut and very much polished, perfect, radio ready type of music, which is cool. In this environment, it's very much the self-exploration within the chart. That's the focal point. So the improvised art is the focal point of the tunes. And then hopefully the singable melody around it can, relate with the audience. And so depending on what room you're playing in, there might be people that are super, super well-versed in the art form and genre and know all of the ins and outs. And then there could be some people in the room that this is the first time ever hearing jazz music. And I'm always aware or trying to have that experience with all. And for me, in creating a singable melody for someone that they can kind of, like tap their feet to or find a pulse or hear that melody. And then when it comes to the improvised art, it's kind of like we're meeting them with where they're at and then showing them, okay, this is where we want to take you on the journey. And that happens in the improvised sections, of course. But I feel like there's a community aspect of that, showing people, what jazz music can do and how powerful it can be. And yeah, we're pretty proud of that for sure. Yeah.
All right. So you mentioned the fact that you are in several groups. Why don't you tell us about those and also then kind of what's coming up for you in performing?
Sure. So I have what you heard last weekend at Trio was my quintet. That's all my original music or arrangements of pop tunes or whatever. That's just the Brian Hanegan Quintet. And then I'm also in a band here in town called Good Road. And I joined that band in 2012. And we have, I think there's 5 total original records out with Good Road. Although, like, when we play live, we'll only sprinkle in a couple originals and mainly play covers based on the job that we're at. For instance, we played a job last Thursday at the Good Samaritan Society. They had like this new pavilion, this outdoor kind of big pergola pavilion that they built, and there's a dedication ceremony. And so our audience was, the age of 60 and above, largely. And so we started playing
So my crowd.
Yeah. You're dating yourself. No, but so we started changing up the chart. We played some Glenn Miller charts. We played some Elvis Presley charts. We did like some Paul Simon. At any rate, a variant of what we would normally play, trying to pair up with the job and the audience to have an experience with that group. And so that's fun. The Good Road group has been a perennial Sioux Falls #1 local best band, or in the top 3 for the last 15 years or so. And so that's been a heck of a ride, and we've been involved in so many different weddings, corporate parties, private events, and also events in the community. Like, for instance, coming up, we were just talking off air that there's a Kilts for Kids event at the district that we're going to play at, where we're raising money for the Ronald McDonald House and things like that. And so we're very invested into the community that way. And that's probably the band I play with the most. And then my quintet. And then the third group that I play with every summer, we just finished our 11th season, is the Jazzed Up Big Band.
Oh.
And that's out of Arnold's Park, or Okoboji, Iowa. And we play in the roof garden there every Tuesday night in the summer. Yeah. And so we just wrapped up the 11th season of it. And
they've been up here.
And we've been up here,
and so forth, and
here and there. And there's a Christmas show coming up. And we have done that show at the Pavilion before, and always at the roof garden as well. And so, but I've been in that group all 11 years of that ensemble as well. And so that's a wild ride. That's a professional big band of 16 players, and everyone in that group is a working professional. And so getting together with those cats is a good time, for sure. Yeah.
Obviously, when you get together with other jazz musicians, you've got the confidence that, if somebody's going to take off and do something special. And you guys, it's great to always watch the interactions. And it's kind of like, okay, I'm going, watch out, and so forth. But so there's that trust that you have. Does that also lead, besides the professional situation, does it also lead to friendships outside?
100%. I think with the quintet that you saw last Friday, I want to say I was like buddies. I met all of those guys through music, of course, but before we started playing together professionally and things like that, we were buddies first. Yeah. And then, but met each other through music, and then kind of hung out here and there. And then obviously things metastasized. And like Ruben, I've known Ruben since I've been in high school, and the same thing with Alex Olson. And so when a job comes about and I need a bass player, or if I need a pianist, I'm hitting those guys up saying like, hey, you want to get together and make some music? I got this job on this date, type of thing. And it could be, like a week apart from each other, or it could be 2 months apart from the next job that I see them, or however that goes in the queue. But like it's like we've never left.
Right.
Like the conversation, the hangs just kind of start again from where we were, even if there was a significant portion of time that came between it. And so that's kind of fun. And it's always a blast playing with people that you enjoy playing with musically. And it's even more of a hang when you value them as humans and as friends. For sure.
And then there's one guy that's in there, that trumpet guy, Jimmy Spears, his name or something.
That Jim Spears.
How long have you been friends with him?
About 15 years. I was trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
But I was introducing each different guy on the bandstand at various points of the show last week, and I was telling just a little story about each one of them. And with Jim and Jeremy Hagg and a few others, those are the guys that my generation looked up to. Right. And so when they used to play at the old Touch of Europe club.
Oh, loved that. They had such great soup and bread.
It was that place was a nice. It was just a nice time. But I wasn't old enough necessarily to hang there. But through the music scene, I was able to get myself in just to watch these guys create their art, and we very much looked up to them. And so I actually, for Jim, I started watching him play before I ever got to hang with him or like become friends and then obviously make music together, which was really neat. Jim is such a pillar of our community, and we're very lucky to have him around here. And any of the trumpet that you've heard on any of my music or my records, it's Jim Spears. Yeah.
Do we have a new one coming out?
We do. I'm pumped about this. It's taken me far too long to release this record. I got this wild hair idea to try and record every part myself.
Oh.
And so this is what it's kind of a two-part thing. The first thing is I do have a new record coming out, and I'm recording it all myself for two reasons. Kind of one for me to gain skill acquisition in recording software and mixing, and just kind of going through the technology involved with it, and basically school of YouTubing my way through problems, because I know I can help my students then. If I've figured something out and I really understand how the application works and how the recording process works through trial and error, then hopefully I can pass that along. And secondly, I wanted to create a studio album. The first record I did was live. It was in the studio with Mark Dom over at not Cat House, but the Warehouse. Yeah. But we tracked that record live. And so like if a guy made a mistake, start over again, we're going again. This new record, I wanted to create just a different, since I've never recorded a studio album, I wanted to try it. And then I just kind of piece by piece started putting in saxophones, started using my keyboards, put in some basses, some strings, all sorts of different things, auxiliary percussion. And all four of my there's 7 different saxophones used in this record, and all the way through soprano, alto, tenor, baritone, which is really cool. Depending on the chart, I might have grabbed a 1920s alto sax, but on the melody line, it's a late 60s Mark VI Selmer that's playing the melody, but then in the solo, it's a different colored horn, but it's still an alto horn. Stuff like that is going on all the time, and only I know what I did where, but that's kind of unique in just the aspect that I own a lot of saxophones. And then my iwi does make an appearance on different charts, both as like kind of as a soloist instrument, but also as a layering instrument in different melodies and things that really changes the sound, that instrument. Yeah. And so I'm super excited to get this out here. I'm almost done with it. I have one chart left to get it all tracked, and then I'm going to work with Scott Gibbon, who's in the Augie School of Music. He's going to help me finish it, the mixing and mastering, because that art is a different art than just getting it in the can, if you will, but getting it polished and mastered. I don't know. Literally, Dave, I don't know anything about that part of it. And I think that's where I'm going to stay. There's so much in the music industry that you can learn. And so I'm learning small bits of the recording industry by doing this. And then my plan is to let a professional take it from there. But I'm going to be there the whole time watching him do his work. Yeah. To take like a little tutoring session while he's working on my stuff, is how I kind of want to learn that part of it. Because it's very complex, and you can make a lot of mistakes.
Take 7. Yeah. All right.
But it's taken over 2 years to get this one to this point, and of course I camped on it a bit, and then I would get hot about it, and then I'd get stuff done, and then got it on the back burner because there was other stuff going on, but it's very close, and I've been telling people that I'm trying to get this released before the end of the year. So before the end of 2024, I'd like to get it out there. So I'm going to try to stick to that timeline and see what we can come up with.
All right. You said iwi, electronic wind instrument?
That's right.
Okay. I wanted to get it correct because and that's such a, as you said, unique instrument and completely brings in a new complexity to it. And how did you find that, first of all? You know, I've loved music for a long, long time, thought I knew most instruments. And then a couple of years back, you come out with this thing and it's, yeah.
Well, I tell you what, I've had that instrument since 2006.
Wow.
And they've come out with a new model by now. But the one that I have it's called the EWI 4000. And not to get all techie, but it basically has 100 patches in it that operate like synths sounds, like a keyboard sounds. The newest model they have out, they've done a lot of innovation with emulating other instruments. And so like if you want to have a bass clarinet sound, you can click up that and things like it. Yeah. And so it's that the newest one, it's no shade being casted here. The newest one has more innovation with emulating other type of instruments versus the one that I have very much is more like synth type of colors, is basically what the design, in my opinion, was about. And I got hip to that instrument through listening to some of my favorite players. Michael Brecker was one who I fell in love with. Every time he picked up an EWI solo or an EWI on a record or something, I'm like, oh my God, what is happening? What is this? And I'd go down a rabbit hole and find YouTube videos, and then I'd see other people playing them. And then another guy who's someone I looked up to and still do is Bob Mintzer. And Bob just retired at USC in Southern California at the Thornton School of Music. I think he just retired. But at any rate, between those two guys, I'm like, look at this stuff. That instrument is freaking amazing. And so in 2006, that summer, I was playing at Valley Fair. I was an undergrad back then, and I had this summer job playing saxophone at Valley Fair in the Gazebo Stage Band, which is like the top of the wild thing. We could see it from our gazebo when we played these shows. That summer is when I ended up buying one, and I didn't have enough money. It was like $1,000, something like that. Not crazy expensive, but not cheap.
Yeah.
And I didn't have the money, and so I opened up there's this company, Woodwind and Brasswind, and they had this play now, buy now, play now card, whatever. It was a credit card.
Right.
And I opened it up, and I got this instrument, and then my dad found out. We were chatting, and he's like, "Hey, how did you get this?" And so I came clean. I'm like, "Dad, I opened up this stupid credit card to get this from this company." He's like, "You did what?" And so at any rate, life lesson was, through the card, it was like, 12 months, no interest.
Right.
But if you didn't get it paid off by then they hit you with all the backlog stuff. And so he was coaching me in real time, like, don't you ever do this again, number one. Number two, let's get that paid off immediately. And number three, damn it, pick up the phone if you need $1,000 type of thing. And so I learned a lot in that process too.
Oh, wow.
But I was young, and that all worked out. But that's the story of how I got that horn and where the influences came from and stuff like that.
What is the fingering most like on that?
So this is pretty wild. You can set that up in different ways. It's predominantly made for a sax player. I'll say that. But you can also change the parameters of that instrument for like Jim on trumpet to do because they only use 3 valves.
Right.
So like 3 finger combinations. You can set it up that way, and it totally works. And in fact, I've had a former student of mine, Nathaniel Picas. He was a trumpeter that came through that had the newest EWI, and he calibrated it to a trumpet fingering system so he could use it. But it takes a minute to start getting used to that instrument, because on a sax and even on a trumpet, you're used to depressing a key, right? So if I'm going to play a B, my left index finger, there it is. Well, this is all touch and heat sensitive. So there's not like a depressed key.
Oh, wow.
It's just like a button that can sense your heat from your fingers. And so if you're like resting on the keys and you want a certain note to come out, but your fingers are in the wrong spot, it can get haywire. And then how do you describe this? Doubling down on the instrument being difficult to navigate at first is it has all of these octave rollers in the back to change the octave from one to another, all the way 8 different octaves. So it has 88 keys, 88 different notes, just the same as a full keyboard or piano, an 88 keyed piano or keyboard. So when you're rolling up the octaves, you have to be super fluid and really accurate with your hand position and your fingers, because again, if you're in the wrong spots, it's going to sense the heat of your fingers, and then whatever you were trying to communicate is going to sound like chaos.
Yeah, so
it takes
really
a minute.
Can't rest on it then.
You can't rest on it.
You got to be in movement.
You kind of be in movement or know where you're kind of wanting to go with it. And then there's 2 other really unique features of it, other than it has 100 built-in patches. So there's 100 different sounds that you can you can also change the key of the instrument. So if I wanted to read like a C piano chart, I could click a button and I'd be in C. But I like to have it in sax player keys because I'm a sax player. So I'll switch it into B flat or E flat mode. That's cool. And then the other 2 really unique things is there's an octave doubling button that you can hit, that whatever note you're playing, it'll double the octave below you. So it creates more of a warmer, fatter sound. And then perhaps the most unique feature is it has a sustain built into it. You toggle this knob, and then as you build notes up the instrument, it'll sustain them so you can start building chords. And that's when, as an improviser, things can get really unique, because all of a sudden what was originally a saxophone being essentially monophonic instrument, one note at a time, I get to exist in this polyphonic world for a second. It's a little different than like a piano, how you can just go bam and here's a chord. You have to build it. So it's very much Alberti bass style, like one note at a time to build your chord. But in that process, if you're trying to create tension for resolution, you can start generating a lot in that capacity, and then resolve it and have an experience, hopefully, that connects with your audience in some capacity, because that tension is finally released and you have like this moment together. Yeah, it's a wild horn for sure.
No doubt about that. In the meantime, you will be teaching such things. First of all, I mean, from our conversation today, you obviously like to educate yourself, but that's also what you are in terms of besides the music. You are a professor at Augustana University here in Sioux Falls. And so classes start next week?
Yeah, a week from tomorrow is when the classes start. So the students are it seems like running around campus trying to figure out, you can tell like the ones that are like, this is my first time on campus, and they're trying to find their stuff. The marching band's been practicing and they're learning their shows for the year. And so, there's in every different musical space that we have, there's some type of rehearsal going on. And it's also audition week is coming up for them as well. And so down in the practice rooms, you'll hear them working on their excerpts and their different tunes and things to get ready for their auditions. And man, it's a really fun time every year, like this first part of the year, because everyone has so much energy again. The 9-month academic cycle can be very taxing on your brains, and the summer is very much needed for people to kind of unpack a lot of that knowledge and have it kind of soak in, and then gear up for more. And so the plates are empty that we can all fill them, and there's a vibe about that that's super positive and unique each new academic year for sure.
Yeah. And what are we going to have for jazz ensembles?
So jazz-wise, over at Augie right now, we've got the big band, Northlanders. That's our touring ensemble in the jazz area. And then we have a couple different combo offerings, kind of just the standard jazz combo of 5 to 6 piece group. I have a plan for those cats this year to see if they want to do a concept album and hook it up maybe with trio, like present Miles Davis Kind of Blue record. And so I'd want to get, that instrumentation. I need a tenor, an alto, and a trumpet. I want to see if they're hip to wanting to do a concept record. and then maybe pair that up with a live performance at Trio, I thought would be really unique. Something like that. We also have a rock band, and Professor Jeremy Haig is running that group. We also have a rock ensemble room. And so those cats get together in this room, and they all have in-ear monitors and the whole 9 yards. And so part of that ensemble is not only making the music, but it's also learning the gear, how to set up your in-ear monitors, right? To get your mixes right.
Yeah.
Things like this is part of it. And so that's pretty unique to us. And what? That's predominantly what we got going on right now in that area for ensembles, specifically in jazz and commercial music. What is exciting this year is our jazz festival is going into its 50th year, and we're bringing in the U.S. Air Force Falconeers from Colorado Springs.
Yeah.
They're going on a tour, and we're starting the tour, and they'll be in residence with us from like Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, leaving on Wednesday type of thing, which is essentially the longest that they've ever been in one location at one time, because of the educational outreach that they're able to do while they're here. We were able to make it happen, and the whole band is coming. So a 16-piece big band with a singer is coming for our 50th anniversary, and so we're pumped up about that. And
That's excellent.
It should be a really good year for us.
Yeah, and I've heard them before.
Have you?
Yes.
Yeah.
And absolutely amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, it will lift you up in more than just a musical sense. It will. It's good for the soul.
Yeah.
No doubt about that.
And so look for there'll be some media and some different things coming out about it. The uniqueness about that band is it's based with the military, and so when we do the finale concert with those cats, it will be a free ticket.
Right.
And so as the community gets wind of this, I want to let people know that this is going to be a free show, and this is going to be one that you'll want to put on the calendar.
No doubt about that. All right. When are you playing next, Trio?
So I'm playing there. I'm looking at my calendar right now. There's a couple, not with the Brian Hanegan group, but I'm as a side guy of a different group. I'm playing 2 more times here. I'm playing on Thursday, August 29th with Steve Smith and his group.
Okay.
And then I'm playing again on Friday, September 6th with Rick Ayers' band, the jazzed up big band leader.
Yeah.
He also has a jazzed up quintet. It might even be a sextet, actually. It's a 6-piece with his group on that date. And so if you're out and about, those are the 2 dates that I'll be at Trio most recently. And then I'm already working with Jim and Ricardo about booking the Brian Hanegan group back there again. And so stay tuned on that piece. But we'll be back with the BH5 soon enough in the future. But I'm also excited to be a side guy on some other people's music, and I'm excited about it. So that'll be cool.
Well, always exciting to have you here. First time here in the Dipsy Doodle production studio, but always a pleasure to have you on the show. And you have answered the, typical questions I used to always end with, and I still do if you're a first-time guest, but being a repeat now, the new question is, what is Brian Hanegan's word for 2024?
Power.
Oh, I like it.
Power.
I do like it. My friend, thank you so much. Appreciate you having some time for us.
Dave Holly, man, he's done it again. Dipsy Doodle, shout out. Thank you so much, man. This was so fun.
That it was. And we'll be back with more of the Dave Holly Hour in just a moment.
Comedy magician and hypnotist Jesse Moffat's right. He can't play the piano, but he can sure entertain crowds with his amazing magic and clever quips. His shows always make the participants the stars, especially when they've fallen asleep on stage. They've been hypnotized. Are you the party planner in your group? Then you owe it to your group to make the event magical, even if it puts you to sleep. Here's how.
For booking information, go to Jesse Moffat Entertainment on Facebook. That's JESSE or call 605-929-0964.
Dr. Perry Langston and Dr. Corey Tooney know excellence is in you. That's why they provide you with excellent care at XO Chiropractic, improving your overall health in spirit, body, mind, and will. Get results the natural way. Arrange a consultation, 605-332-9235 or exokairos.com. Excellent care for excellent people. XO Chiropractic, located at 4309 South Racket Drive in Sioux Falls.
Once again, Dave Holland.
Welcome back, everyone. Always a pleasure, as I say at the beginning of every conversation, always a pleasure to talk Sioux Empire Arts and Entertainment. And there's so many different events going on. And one of the places you can find out about so many arts and entertainment things, as well as news about the business world of Sioux Falls, would be Sioux Falls Business. And that is part of Align Content Studio, all brought to you by Jodi Schwan. Jodi, how are you?
Hi, Dave. I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me on the show.
You're quite welcome. It's a pleasure. I know that you've been around town for a while. You know, started off in the media, ended up doing the Argus Leader, Business Weekly, and so forth. What got you to this point now?
You're right. I would have never thought, honestly, that I would spend so much of my career in Sioux Falls, but the community, for one, is what got me to this point. The growth of Sioux Falls has just been pretty epic. You know, I think anyone who's been in town a while would agree with that. And I've just been really lucky to be a part of it. And I think looking at journalism and the future of media is what led me into business ownership myself. And now it's going on 8 years. So I have two products, Sioux Falls Business and Pigeon 605. We cover, as you said, business and community news. And it's a great story to tell. You know, the story of Sioux Falls has its challenges like anywhere, but by and large, it's a positive narrative.
Right. And then don't you take part in the 605 Market Made that's coming up this weekend?
Yeah. So 605 Made is one of my content brands. So really throughout the year, as you said, we cover artists and makers and we tell their story. And then twice a year, we partner with Naughty Gnome Variety and Salvage, and we put on these events. So Night Market is this weekend, Saturday, August 24th, from 3 to 9. And it's just a lot of fun. Have you ever been to it before?
I certainly have. Yeah.
Okay,
and,
so you know what I'm talking about.
Exactly. But let's tell the rest of the world what it's all about then.
So 6th and Phillips, this is a parking lot that Raven is nice enough to let us use. So if you know how to get to the Levitt, you know how to get to the 605 Made Market. You likely will walk right past it, actually. And we take that parking lot for one day and we turn it into a marketplace of locally made merchandise and food and beverages and street level entertainment. And we call it a night market because it lasts into the night. So typically, you know, farmers market, bright and early, done by early afternoon. We get started at 3. We're going to go till 9 this year. The market will light up when it gets dark, which just makes for a really cool, just one of a kind experience, I think. Night markets actually began in Asia. And the idea there was that it was so hot during the day that it was more comfortable for people to go out and shop at night. So over time, you know, it's evolved into a fun thing. We have this in a lot of other cities. I really thought that it made sense for Sioux Falls. So 2017 was the first one. And again, the team over at Naughty Gnome, which runs a store of locally made merchandise in Hartford, is really instrumental in this. They're the ones that work with the makers and set it up and make it all happen. It is a free event, thanks to First National Bank and Dakota Business Finance, our sponsors and great champions of local entrepreneurs. They allow us to put this together. So we're looking forward to a great night. You know, I always get nervous when it comes to peeking at the forecast for one, but fingers crossed, we're close enough now that it looks good. So it should be a great time.
And the fact that in the evening that it should cool down a little bit too.
It sure does. Yeah,
it's been nice in that regard.
It's a good one.
Tell us about the entertainment we can find down there in the arts booths and so forth.
Yeah, and if you want, we actually just finished our guide to this year's market. So we've got 36 local makers whose work is going to be featured. And I'm especially excited because I did not know a number of these names, which means that we're continually seeing new businesses start up, new handmade businesses more specifically. One theme that emerged here in recent years is, all the relocations that we saw in Sioux Falls, a lot of them pandemic driven, a lot of people moving here from out of state, or they've just heard good things about Sioux Falls. Well, the good news is some of them are artists, some of them are makers, and they're now beginning to start up those small businesses here in our community. So we've got a number of those, great variety. It is not too early to begin your holiday shopping is what I would tell you too. But then beyond that, that street level entertainment is what's a lot of fun. So I think we've got a little bit of all kinds of eclectic street performances. So, of course, we've got live music, but then the team over at South Dakota Aerial Arts, the silks that they do and kind of the, acrobatic style performances that they're so well known for. They'll be bringing that. You'll actually get to try it out for yourself. I'm not sure that I'm brave enough for that, but little hands-on experience at the market this year will be available. I think we've got a juggler. We have in years past. In other years, we've had a yo-yoist, we've had fire artists. So it's different. It's really a unique experience. And we rotate the entertainment, of course, throughout the events. There's a new reason to stop by every hour.
That's true. And, it's been great in the fact that this can go to 9 o'clock because some of us actually work on Saturday till, 4:30 or 5. And so it's nice to still have an event that wasn't scheduled 11 to 1 or 2 to 4 or anything like that. And so you can get out there and you mentioned all the local artists and the way that they put things together and what they're creating. We have found, you talked about early Christmas shopping. We have found so many great things. And so it's always just a nice time to walk around, catch the booths, and it's not overly huge. It's a good size and it keeps growing, but it gives you time to go back around then. So you don't have to sit there and go, well, I better take this because I'll never get back to this. You can
that's right.
take time to decide upon it.
We are not trying to be sidewalk arts. That's not the idea here. You're right. It's very manageable. It's curated. You have to apply to be part of the show. And we deliberately look for that mix of local makers. As you said, on the holiday side, too, we will be back with a holiday market. And that's been going on even longer than this one. And we hold it in the parking garage at Sharapa Place. So I'm excited to do that once again, first Saturday in December. So you certainly can take care of some holiday shopping there. But again, when you look through the lineup of what we're going to have there, it's everything. I'm just scrolling through here. Artwork, of course, but fresh flowers, candles, custom. You can definitely work with the artists to customize something for yourself. Baked goods, jewelry. It's a little bit of everything. Snacks, so all kinds of good stuff.
Yeah. So you won't go away disappointed. Too many good things.
And, it's so much fun to meet the artists, too. And they take so much pride in their work and they want to chat with you. They want to share their stories. If they don't have exactly what you're looking for, the good news is they can usually make it for you. So it's a good chance to just meet some of the people in your community, too.
What do you look forward to most of all each year?
Well, I do love the stories, right? I mean, that's what I do. I tell stories. So I love to hear what these small business people really are all about. And that's why we started this under Sioux Falls Business. Sometimes people don't recognize enough that artists are business people. They certainly are. They're great entrepreneurs and you really need them for the fabric of your business community. So I love to meet them. I really love to see them rack up some sales, though. So, don't just come and browse is my plea here. But definitely do some local shopping. This has not been an easy year, whether you're an artist, a maker, or whether you're a small business person here downtown or elsewhere around the city. These have not been easy months to try to grow your business. So I would just say, please keep that in mind, not just this weekend, but here throughout the rest of the year, as you are making those buying decisions. The more we can support local, the better.
You mentioned right off the bat about the growth of Sioux Falls, and that also means then the growth of the arts community, the entertainment community, and so forth. And I still think that while we have embraced arts more than we had 25, 30 years ago, there's still a long way to go. And I think one of the first steps because you just brought this up, that they're business people. That we need to get people to understand that we have quite a few artists and entertainers in Sioux Falls that make their living doing this.
Or that really want to,
yes.
that maybe are working
or,
2 jobs and would just love to be able to transition that to solely focus on their art. And we've shared several of those stories actually over at Sioux Falls Business this week. But you're absolutely right. And I am quite encouraged, probably more encouraged than I have ever been, because more often than not, I am hearing about these small startup arts related groups and organizations. There's a lot happening just beneath kind of the mainstream, coverage here in the Sioux Falls area. And I think you probably hear more of it than many here in the content business. I had a conversation, we actually ran it this week over at Pigeon 605 with Maren Engel, the new arts coordinator for the city of Sioux Falls.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Right?
Yes, yeah. Exactly.
She's exactly what we need in that role. Brings energy, brings relationships, brings vision. And just hearing her speak about who she's been able to have conversations with in her first few months on the job, it's exciting to me to know that we really have some arts entrepreneurs and arts advocates taking root here in Sioux Falls and coming to Sioux Falls because they think that, there's some things happening here. They see the momentum of the city. They like the downtown. They like the opportunity they see here. So it's up to us to collectively, help them further integrate. 605 Made is a great way to do that. And also create a foundation where they can make it their own, and that's where artists really shine. So I think there's a lot of good activity out there, a lot more stories to tell. And we just need to keep looking at what more can we do? What more do we need to do as a community to embrace that and to position ourselves as the kind of place where artists want to live and to know that they can work and be appreciated.
And there's that wonderful aspect of the fact there are more places we're seeing art and so forth.
Yeah.
And the fairs and festivals that come up and events such as this, it's nice to see that it's not just, in a particular spot. You've got uniqueness now. You do the winter show, the holiday show in the basement or the garage of Sharapa Place. You do this one out in the parking lot and so forth. And I think that there's just such great creativity going on at all levels, from the person that comes up with the idea to the people that follow through with it, and then to the people that show up. It's just such a nice thing that we're seeing, and we hope it continues on this great path.
Yeah, absolutely. We're seeing a lot of support from businesses around this too. Art used to be kind of an afterthought for businesses. And now as I'm going into these new offices, especially that are opening up, these new workplaces, it's front and center. It's top of mind. They're looking at how they can integrate art into their spaces, which is what we want to see, because you know what, that means business for artists locally. Excited for Alcove, the Washington Pavilion store, opening at the end of August over at the Steel District. That's going to be another opportunity for the consumer to purchase local art. So we have a lot of really great ingredients coming together right now.
No doubt about that. So give us a brief synopsis of what the difference is between 605, Pigeon 605 and the Sioux Falls Business.
So Sioux Falls Business was first, and that was launched in March of 2017. And it's kind of what it sounds like. It's business news in and around the Sioux Falls area. Of course, I take a broad approach to what I consider business news. I think things like the arts certainly fall into that. Things that are quality of life related, because by extension, they're workforce related, can fall into that too. But Pigeon 605 was my chance to tell those community stories that I didn't necessarily get to tell under a business umbrella, and hopefully bring a little more community and lifestyle news to the market. I liken it to that classic Sunday newspaper where you'd have the front page with a big picture kind of look at where is the community going. You'd have some good sports features. You'd have the arts covered. You'd have a lifestyle type of section. You'd have neighborhood level news. And we try to put all that together in a fun and fresh digital format through Pigeon 605. So if you have not yet adopted your Pigeon, it's free. You're essentially subscribing, but no cost to you. And your personalized bird will then carry you, in other words, email or text you the news. So we're having fun with it, and hopefully our nearly 7,000 pigeon owners are too. It's been fun to see that grow since 2021.
That's awesome. And, once again, that just hits on creativity.
Right, exactly.
You've got your traditional style of business news, and then you get this and the whole bit with the birds and so forth. It's awesome.
I'm far from an artist, Dave, so maybe that's my attempt at creativity. I'll own that.
All right. Well, we always like to end with a couple of questions if you're a first-time guest. And so that would be, when you're not involved in what you do, what do you like to be entertained by?
Oh, that's a great question. My very earliest entertainment personal experience was actually community theater. That's not something I talk a whole lot about, but when I was a kid, I started when I was 8 years old, and I loved it. I did all the classic kid roles in community theater. I'm from Ohio originally, so I love a good theater performance, but same thing for live music. I really appreciate the talent, not just locally, but regionally and even nationally, that we're able to bring into the community. So that's probably my go-to. All
right. Any other hobbies?
Oh gosh, when you own a business, that hobby capacity, it shrinks quite a bit. I've often thought I need something really kind of unique and noteworthy that I can trot out when I get asked this question, but I don't have anything particularly exciting in that vein, unfortunately.
All right. Well, regardless, with how busy you are, I know you've got something to get to, so we kept it a little short of where we normally would be, but I do appreciate you taking the time to be on the show.
Oh, I'm glad to do it. Thanks so much, Dave. I appreciate the highlight of 605 Night Market. We hope to see everybody Saturday from 3 to 9 downtown Sioux Falls.
You will see me after 5.
Excellent. Perfect. All right. Thank you.
You bet. And we'll be wrapping up the Dave Holly Hour in just a moment.
Check out the new ceramic studio in Sioux Falls, conveniently located off Kiwanis Avenue on 5th Street. TJS Ceramics, inside Oscar's Mini Storage. We have thousands of classic vintage ceramic mold items and several new items too. TJS Ceramics offers classes, special open studio nights, and completed ready-to-purchase items. Bisque, studio time, or painting parties are available. Visit TJS Ceramics Studio in person today or email tjsceramics@gmail.com for more details.
Ladies, when it's time to give your nails some love, get that extra special treatment from Quality Nails on South Minnesota Avenue in Sioux Falls. Manicures and pedicures that look great and make you feel fantastic. Zaya and Tony provide professional care for your hands and feet, whether you just want the basics or an extra special look with added flair. Oh, and guys, it's okay to treat yourself too. Quality Nails. Call for an appointment. 605-334-1463.
You've never met a meal you didn't like. Here he is, Dave Holly.
Thanks again to my great guests, Brian Hanegan and Jodi Schwan. And thank you. All those downloads, likes, shares, whatever you do, it makes a difference. But mostly just listening. I appreciate that, and appreciate your desire to learn more about Sioux Empire Arts and Entertainment. Hey, never miss an episode. All 243 are online at davehollyhour.com. So use the search function there, and you can listen to conversations over the past almost 5 years. As the Sioux Falls Arts Council says, together we art. As Art South Dakota says, home is where the art is. As I say, put some art in your heart. Remember, my name is Dave Holly, and for me, every day is a holiday.
The Dave Holly Hour has been brought to you by TJS Ceramic Studio, Serendipity Studio Gallery and Gifts, Chasers Food and Spirits, XL Chiropractic, Quality Nails, Jesse Moffitt Entertainment, and the Sioux Falls Arts Council. If you would like to contribute to the continued success of this podcast, simply buy Dave a cup of coffee. Go to davehollyhour.com and click on the coffee cup icon. Don't forget to stay up to date on the show by following on Instagram and Facebook. The Dave Holly Hour is produced in the Dipsy Doodle Studios by Big D Entertainment.
Thanks for listening.